Hey, Jim again with Genesis Veracity Foundation and Facebook. Please refer these videos, short videos, YouTube presentations to all your friends. We need to get this dialogue out into the public arena. This all makes way too much sense to be ignored in the public for us. So it takes you and your pastors to present this information to the public so there can be a public discussion and the Darwinian paradigm can be destroyed once and for all, or at least given equal footing with this biblical model, which I think you will find makes a lot more sense once you see and read all the evidence. Now, my friend Brittany is here with another question today. So, Brittany, what's on your mind? Or on the piece of paper, as it were.
Where was the land of Uz where Job lived, the Old Testament book of Job? Was the Behemoth really written about a dinosaur?
Ah, yes, the book of Job, the land of Uz. Of course, Uz was a son of Aram, who was a son of Japheth, who was a son of Noah. So the land of Uz, when you think about it, the land of Uz, Uzbekistan maybe? Yeah, hello. It's the kingdom of Uz, Uzbekistan. That is where the land of Uz was. But of course, that's hard to imagine since the land of Uz, or Uzbekistan currently, is mostly craggy mountain ranges and deserts. It's really dry, but yet in the book of Job, it speaks of Job having prolific flocks, pastures, fields, forests in the land of Uz. So how can that be current day Uzbekistan? Well, of course, Job lived around 2000 BC, probably 5 or 6 generations from Noah. Maybe a grandson of Uz. I'm not sure. I forget how that all goes. But anyway, he was in the land of Uz, probably 4 or 5 generations from Noah, around 2000 BC. And at that time, that was during the Ice Age, when it was much rainier in Uzbekistan. It was much rainier in the Middle East. It was much rainier in Egypt, where the Great Pyramids were built, because during the Ice Age, there was dense cloud cover worldwide. And dense cloud cover worldwide by a warmer ocean, which had been heated from below the fountains of the deep for Noah's flood. So there was dense cloud cover worldwide, massive snowfall in the extreme latitudes and the high mountain ranges, and in regions more towards the equator in the middle latitudes, such as current day Uzbekistan, where there may be 5 inches of rainfall a year or 10 inches a year, technically a desert. During the Ice Age, at the time of Job, during the Ice Age, maybe 30, 40 inches of rain fell there. So you add 30 or 40 inches of rain to a desert, you get lush fields, forests, streams, rivers. It brings to mind the ancient term wadi. You've heard dried up wadis in the Middle East. Well, wadi means river, streams. Wadi means streams. So at one time, i.e. during the Ice Age, i.e. only 4,000 years ago, those dried up wadis were perennial streams which ran year round. So that was the land of Job. And the dinosaur, it actually was a dinosaur, Behemoth. It says that he lived in the Jordan River. Now, how can Job have known about the dinosaur, which had a tail like a cedar tree? That doesn't sound like a hippopotamus or an elephant to me. It had a tail like a cedar tree, as described in the Bible, living in the Jordan River. Well, how would Job have known, living in current day Uzbekistan, about an animal in the Jordan River? Well, remember, Uz, Job lived in the land of Uz. The father of Uz was Aram, and Aram is Aram, and his homeland was in southern Syria, northern Canaan, just north of the Canaanites. So he was in the region of Jordan. And no doubt Job and Uz from Uzbekistan had trade routes with the land of Aram. So they traded stories, and possibly Uz was even born in the land of Aram. He may have been a great-great-grandson of Aram, for instance. And Uz and Job moved to the land of Uz subsequent to having been born in the land of the Jordan River, the region of the Jordan River. And yes, Behemoth was a dinosaur. There's ancient accounts and even medieval accounts of dinosaurs throughout history. Just Google search dinosaurs medieval history. Dinosaurs, dragons, medieval ancient history. And even in the book of Bible, or also in the book of Bible as well, in Babylon, Daniel had to confront the temple dragon Bel, B-E-L. The Babylonians had a captive dragon which they worshipped. So dragons, i.e. dinosaurs, have been with us throughout human history. Why? Because juvenile, young dinosaurs survived on Noah's Ark. Maybe they didn't bring the full-grown brontosauruses and Tyrannosaurus rexes, but what's to prevent having brought on juvenile or children, young ones, of which are part of the 20,000 syngamions of animals that need have been on Noah's Ark. Not millions of species, only about 20,000 syngamions, or biblical kinds of animals. The biblical model makes all the sense. Darwin in the term species is nonsensical. It does not add up. And you consider the Ice Age hydrology, which I've discussed, and the Table of Nations, the names of those biblical characters really written all over the ancient Middle East. You can't deny that the Table of Nations and the book of Genesis certainly should be considered in our schools and higher in universities and whatnot. So we challenge all Darwinists to challenge this material. Submit your submission forms at the Foundation website. Bring it on, as we say, because this material holds up to all scrutiny. You'll find out when you look into it further. Thanks.